show, and I know some of you might be expecting us to make a joke about whether The Bear is really a comedy. But in the true spirit of The Bear, we will not be making any jokes.
Shots fired or foreshadowing. Eugene and Dan Levy, hosts of the Emmys, and with that quip, they framed up the central conflict, the central narrative of the night. How much do you have to laugh for a comedy to really be a comedy? A Hacks amount, or can it be just The Bear amount? Joining me now to discuss this is a person who's seen his share of hacks, being a keen Hollywood observer over the years. I'm talking about the shows, of course, though maybe the people too. It is Michael Schneider of Variety who can break it down for us. Michael, thanks so much for being with us. Thanks for being awake with us, because I know it's a big night for you. And just take us into this moment here with The Bear and Hacks and the comedy. What makes a comedy? How did it play out last night?
Oh, that's a good question, because, the Hacks is a pretty dramatic comedy as well. So there's a lot of tears in that show. So, it's a case of, what is a comedy these days? Like you mentioned, we're far away from the era of those sitcoms and the laugh tracks. And so the debate that actually made a difference, apparently, with the ultimate winner in the comedy category being Hacks as opposed to The Bear, which kind of shocked us all. I love a good surprise on an award show, and the fact that this show delivered, that's what you want. That's what they pay us to cover this.
Well, then you should have been paid overtime there, Michael, because there were a lot of surprises, in fact. You and I were just talking about an unexpected amount of surprises. I suppose that's the definition of a surprise, but there was a lot of them. Just take us into some of them and what it all meant.
Yeah, probably one of my favorites of the night was Lamorne Morris from Fargo winning for supporting actor in a limited series. We all thought for sure that was Robert Downey Jr.'s to win, including Lamorne. He was shocked. He didn't have a speech ready. That was so great to see. Liza Colon-Zayas, who's one of the supporting stars of The Bear, actually won. She was shocked as well. She was up against Carol Burnett and Meryl Streep, and the fact that she won over those two was pretty fantastic as well. I was so excited for her, so happy for her. So yeah, an interesting night. Yeah, The Bear didn't win for Best Comedy, but it still broke the record for most wins in a single season for a comedy with 11. So they still had a great year. And then, of course, then you've got a little show called Shogun, which broke all the records.
Yeah, it really did. I was about to ask you about that. I mean, what do we take from that? Because we hear that season 2, for those who are watching, say it's even better. It deviates a bit from, the source material, which is this novel. In fact, your colleague Allison Herman was on the show just talking to us about that. But what do you see in the Shogun wins in this week?
Yeah, I mean, this was huge for Shogun. This was such an unlikely show. It was a remake of a NBC miniseries from the 80s, and the fact that it was mostly in Japanese. It was huge, and I think people really appreciated that it was different, that it took a lot of chances, and it was just creatively on point, I should say. And so, yeah, it was just fantastic to see them clean up on Sunday night.
It really was. There were, of course, lots of amazing speeches, and one of them came from the auteur, the creator, the director, the writer, the star, the everything of this limited series called Baby Reindeer, which pushes a lot of envelopes. And Michael, I want to play a little bit of his speech because I think it frames up something interesting about where we are in this moment in the industry. Let's take a listen to it.
Definitely.
If Baby Reindeer has proved anything, it's that there's no set formula to this, that you don't need big stars, proven IP, long-running series, catch-all storytelling to have a hit.
We've spoken together a lot about the pressures on the industry and everything. There's a guy who's previously lesser known, making the case for a lot of different kinds of storytelling. What'd you hear there?
Yeah, this was the Cinderella story of the year. Baby Reindeer was a show that even Netflix folks thought, oh, okay, this is an acquisition. That's fine. Maybe a couple of people will watch it. It turned into a phenomenon. It was such a unique, original, very personal story. And to see it clean up like it did in the limited series category was fantastic. Richard Gadd was great, but Jessica Gunning, who played, of course, his stalker on the show, was also amazing. And to see her win was just fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's those moments that you still really appreciate on a show like the Emmys.
Michael, it's true, and it's those moments where you wonder if someone will actually take those to the bank and listen to someone like Richard Gadd and say, hey, maybe we don't need a big star. Maybe we can do it with a very strange story that Baby Reindeer really provided. Michael Schneider, you provided so many stories. We really hope so, in fact, and definitely indeed. Thank you so much, Michael Schneider, as always, breaking down surprises and everything we do with Emmys. That's going to do it for your afternoon. My name's Emmett Sim. See you soon.